Have you ever found yourself staring at your computer screen, wondering if there's more to life than this job that's slowly draining your soul? Well, you're not alone in that feeling.
Absolutely, Merlyn. Welcome to today's episode of Freelance and Fearless, where we're diving into the psychology behind job changing among young people around the world. I'm Anna, a freelance writer who left the corporate world behind 3 years ago.
And I'm Merlyn, a digital nomad and consultant who jumped ship from a marketing director role that looked great on paper but felt all wrong in reality. Today, we're exploring why young professionals are increasingly questioning traditional career paths and what that means for their future.
Merlyn, I still remember the day I realized I needed to quit my stable but soul-crushing job. I was sitting in yet another meaningless meeting, watching the clock tick by, and I had this sudden clarity that I was trading my life away for a paycheck.
That resonates so deeply with me, Anna. For me, it was more gradual, a slow building of resentment every Sunday evening when I'd feel that knot in my stomach about Monday morning. What finally pushed you to make the leap?
It was actually a conversation with my mentor. She asked me a simple question: if money wasn't an issue, would you still be doing this job? And my immediate no was revealing. That's when I realized I needed to align my work with my values, not just my financial needs.
That's such a powerful question. For me, it was traveling to Vietnam and meeting these young entrepreneurs who were creating their own paths. They had so much less security than I did, but seemed infinitely happier. It made me question everything about how I defined success.
I think that's what's happening globally now. Young people are redefining success away from the traditional metrics of promotion schedules and retirement plans toward fulfillment and purpose.
Absolutely. And we're seeing this reflected in the data too. The average tenure for employees under 35 is now less than 3 years in many countries. But Anna, what do you think is driving this shift? Is it just dissatisfaction or something deeper?
I believe it's multifaceted, Merlin. We've witnessed our parents' generation work loyal decades for companies only to face layoffs and pension cuts. That's shattered the illusion of corporate loyalty. Plus, we're more connected globally, seeing alternative lifestyles that weren't visible to previous generations.
That's a great point. And there's also this growing awareness about mental health. I remember hiding my anxiety at my corporate job because it wasn't professional to acknowledge it. Now, young people are rightfully prioritizing their well being over job titles.
Speaking of mental health, I've noticed that many of my freelance clients are actually companies trying to understand this very phenomenon. Why can't they retain young talent? They're perplexed by employees leaving for seemingly less stable options.
What those companies don't understand is that stability looks different now. For me, having diverse income streams as a freelancer actually feels more stable than depending on a single employer who could cut my position anytime.
Exactly. But I should acknowledge that transitioning wasn't easy. Those first 6 months of freelancing were terrifying. I second-guessed my decision constantly, especially when I saw my bank account dwindling while I built my client base.
I understand that completely. I remember eating ramen noodles for weeks while waiting for clients to pay invoices. What kept you going through those tough early days?
Honestly, it was the freedom to structure my day around when I'm most creative, not when office policy dictated I should be productive, and the ability to say no to projects that didn't align with my values. What about you?
For me, it was the variety. Every project brought new challenges, new people, new learning opportunities. I never felt that stagnation I experienced in my corporate role, where each year blended into the next with minimal growth.
That's so true. Though I think it's important we acknowledge that freelancing isn't the answer for everyone experiencing job dissatisfaction. Some people find their solution in changing industries or organizations rather than employment models.
Absolutely, Anna. The key isn't necessarily to quit, and freelance is to recognize when something isn't serving you and have the courage to make a change. Sometimes that might mean having difficult conversations with current employers about changing your role.
So true. And that self knowledge is what ultimately guided me to freelancing. I realized I need autonomy, creative freedom, and the ability to work with diverse clients to feel engaged. What about you, Merlyn?
That's probably the hardest part, isn't it? In school, we're taught formulas and facts, but rarely how to understand ourselves and what we need from our work lives.
So true. And that self knowledge is what ultimately guided me to freelancing. I realized I need autonomy, creative freedom, and the ability to work with diverse clients to feel engaged. What about you, Merlyn?
Similar realizations. I discovered I need constant learning, flexibility in my schedule, and work that has clear impact I can see. Corporate roles were giving me status but not satisfaction.
As we wrap up today, I think the key takeaway is that job changing isn't just about restlessness. It's about young people courageously seeking alignment between their work and their values.
Absolutely. Whether that means switching companies, industries, or employment models entirely, it's about creating a career that supports the life you want, not sacrificing your life for a career.
Next week, we'll be exploring how to financially prepare for career transitions, because courage needs a safety net too.
Until then, remember that questioning your path isn't a sign of failure, it's often the first step toward finding work that truly matters to you.
We'd love to hear your stories about career changes or questions you're wrestling with. Share them in the comments or reach out on social media.
Thanks for listening to Freelance and Fearless. Stay curious and keep exploring new possibilities.